Hi, in this video, we'll talk about how Glue Mesh and Istio can enable several hybrid cloud use cases across your EKS and EKS Anywhere clusters. EKS lets you quickly spin up Kubernetes clusters on AWS data centers. EKS Anywhere brings that same experience to your own data center so that you can create Kubernetes clusters on-premise. This lets you create a hybrid environment where your developers can consistently deploy their applications, whether it's public cloud or on-premise. Glue Mesh sits on top of these clusters and lets your microservices securely talk to one another regardless of where they're running. And Glue Mesh is built on top of Istio, so you get powerful traffic management capabilities. Let's take a look. I have three clusters. Cluster 1 is an EKS Anywhere cluster running on-premise. Cluster 2 is a regular EKS cluster running on AWS Cloud. And Cluster 3 is also another EKS cluster, but Cluster 3 is running my Glue Mesh management plane. Glue Mesh can discover the Istio meshes and the workloads that are running across Cluster 1 and Cluster 2, allowing me to create traffic policies and access policies that are multi-cluster aware. In the first example, we'll cover migration. If I wanted to migrate an application, say Hello World, from on-premise to public cloud, I would deploy Hello World in both environments, in both clusters. Then I would use the Glue Mesh virtual host resource and then write my policy to tell the gateway to send traffic to both clusters. I can incrementally adjust the weight until slowly all traffic is going to cluster 2. Once I'm happy with how the application is running in both environments, I can stop using cluster 1 and migrate entirely to the ingress gateway on cluster 2. This allows for a gradual migration with no downtime. The next example that I want to cover is Canary deployments. Let's say you have a new version of the reviews microservice that you want to test out. You can deploy this new version on cluster 2, and then to test out the service, we can write a traffic policy so that a small subset of the traffic goes to this new version. This is doing a header-based match so that it's looking for, in the header, it's looking for an email address that ends in acme.com. So only requests with this header goes to the new Canary version running in cluster 2, and all the other traffic continues to run normally as before. This lets you test out new functionality without deploying any code changes to your existing application or impacting any of your existing traffic flows. Another excellent example is adding resiliency to your microservices by configuring locality and load balancing and failover to all of your microservices. The Glue Mesh's virtual destination API lets you group several microservices across all the clusters under a single hostname. The services that are backing this hostname can be configured with outlier detection and the ability for the system to detect if the service goes down. When everything is working fine, then traffic is always routed to the local version of that microservice. But if that microservice goes down for whatever reason, then traffic will start going to the next best available resource. So it would be the microservice running in the cluster 2. In this video, I've only scratched the surface of everything you can do with Glue Mesh. But please feel free to reach out to us on solo.io or our Slack channel if you want to hear more. Thank you.